It's Thursday, the 27th day of March 2025. Good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, all social media platforms and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this afternoon, a former Deputy Attorney General endorses the lawsuit challenging President Mahama's decision to refer a petition to the Council of State regarding the removal of the Chief Justice. We have more, plus get you fresh legal perspectives on this matter. And again, my government and the NDC hold no animosity towards the judiciary, quote by the president, or words of President Mahama as he instructs state investigative bodies to actively pursue unresolved high-profile cases such as the murder of Ahmed Swale. More as he proposes new law to criminalize cocoa from destruction for mining purposes, declaring 2025 as a year of correction to bring the cocoa sector back on track.
Deal with these cases are very difficult because of the constitutional procedure, Parliamentary Accounts Committee and all that. But after that has happened, we must have a fast-track court where we're able to deal with this so that we deter people from just misusing government funds like that.
Also, Minority Chief Whip slams government for failing to dictate funding or dedicate funding for Galamsey as Parliament approves 1.8 billion cedis for the Lantern Natural Resources Ministry. As well, former Minister for Defense warns Ghana's sports infrastructure will deteriorate without dedicated funding for maintenance as Parliament approves budget for sports ministry, but without a cedi for capital expenditure. We have details, this and many more coming up shortly. Please stay. Thanks for your company. First, President John Mahama has dismissed perceptions that the NDC and his government hold animosity towards the judiciary, emphasizing that his administration respects the judicial system. Speaking after a visit from the Ghana Bar Association, he said he's committed to working hand in hand with the judiciary. The president this week forwarded 3 petitions seeking the removal of the Chief Justice to the Council of State for consultation.
We're committed to the protection of human rights and investigation of significant killings or murders that have remained uninvestigated. And so I've urged the police and the investigative organizations to look more actively in cases like Ahmed Swale, and that is how come a first suspect has been arrested. We're hoping that his interrogation will lead to further arrests of people. There are several other cases like the JB Dankwa murder case, and we're asking that it be expedited in terms of the prosecution that is taking place and for investigations to be carried out to find out if any other persons were involved in some of those. And so those are ongoing, and then we also have the issue I thought I should raise of the judiciary and the perception of the judiciary. I believe that it is not anecdotal. I mean, several surveys asking Ghanaians, what their opinion of the judiciary is have not come out positively. And I believe that it is a duty for all of us to work to make sure that we have a judiciary that is respected. Year in, year out, you hear 12 billion cedis misappropriated, 15 billion cedis misappropriated. And how we deal with these cases are very difficult because of the constitutional procedure, Parliamentary Accounts Committee and all that. But after that has happened, we must have a fast-track court where we're able to deal with this so that we deter people from just misusing government funds like that. Government is open to working with you, particularly on our side of the political divide. There's this perception that we have a problem with the legal fraternity and things like that. I think that if you look at the kind of people, Marietta and all of us sitting here, we're not people who have any such animosity towards the judiciary and the legal fraternity. So our doors are open, our hands are open, and if you think that there's anything that you should bring to our attention, don't hesitate at all.
President John Mahama has suggested a new legislation to criminalize the cutting down of cash crops like cocoa for mining purposes. He says it's economically prudent to cultivate cocoa, which he said can generate income year-round compared to mining, which leaves the land barren once the gold is extracted. Speaking after a courtesy call from the Ghana Cocoa, Coffee and Shea Nut Farmers Association, he noted that preserving cocoa production is vital for the country's economy. He also declared this year as a, quote, year of correction to bring the cocoa sector back on track, end quote.
Unfortunately, as the finance minister mentioned in the budget statement, Cocoa Board today owes 32 billion cedis, and you're supposed to pay 9 billion by September. I hope you're getting ready to pay that money. That is all money that should have gone to farmers. Unfortunately, we're using it to pay debts. Production is down. Meanwhile, as production has dwindled, the staff strength of Cocoa Board has skyrocketed. I thought that if your production was going down and your income was going down, you would either maintain your staff strength or even reduce it. That is what all private businesses do. But in your business, while production was going down, prices were going down, employment was going up. And so the Cocoa Board ends up spending, as at last year, 3.something billion, 3.4 billion or something, on mostly administrative and headquarters expenses. And the thing about the cocoa business is the bulk of the benefits of the cocoa industry should go to the farmer so that it incentivizes him to look after his cocoa farm and make sure that it produces more. This year will be what I call a year of correction because of what they have inherited from the past administration. And so this year will be a year of correction so that we can bring the industry back on track. Have to make sure that people are not cutting down cocoa trees to mine gold. Gold, you mine the land, and once it's mined out, the land becomes useless to you. But if you plant cocoa on the land, every year it will yield revenue. Every year it will yield revenue. And a cocoa tree can last 30 years or more and produce money every year. So it makes more sense to leave that gold under the ground and rather depend on your cocoa tree than to mine the ground and make it useless to our children and our children's children. And so I'll encourage, and I was saying that maybe we should pass laws that prevent people from cutting down cocoa trees for mining.
Well, joining me in studio is Nana Obuadia, and he is always talking for the agricultural sector, but he is the president for Concerned Farmers Association. Nana, thank you for joining us. The last time I saw you, it will be that the new government was just about coming in, and you were calling that the new government would invite you, Concerned Farmers Association, so that you can give your input. Has that happened yet?
Well, it hasn't. It hasn't happened, and even what happened today, I don't know whether it is today, what the president is talking about, I don't know whether it is today. You can see some people around wearing these cocoa dresses and some stakeholders around that. Concerned farmers wearing part of it. But that is not a problem. All we need is the implementation. He has said it. But then the agencies, the security agencies, are they going to enforce the law so that at the end of the day, our cocoa trees will be left out? As I'm speaking to you, when you get to a place like Esekesu, most of the cocoa plantations have been destroyed. And there are people behind it. There are chiefs. And the police are aware of all this. The report has been made. You see?
And so for you, even if this legislation is passed, you're not confident that the implementation of it will help us yield any result?
Well, there are a lot of laws that have been passed, but then are we enforcing the law? The problem is, let us enforce the law. Because cocoa is Ghana, and Ghana is cocoa. And look at the way and manner that they've destroyed. As I'm speaking to you, go to Chebi and see what is happening. It is happening live. They are cutting it. Police pass each and every day. They know those that they are doing the illegalities, but nothing has been done.
Let's talk about, beyond what's happening, let's talk about how much Galamsey or mining has impacted you as a farmer.
Well, it has destroyed. It has really destroyed, taken almost 70% of our produce or 70% of our land that we do our cultivation. And it has not yielded anything out of it. You know, we are not against mining. You can go ahead and do your mining, all right. But then what we are saying is, don't destroy our water bodies, don't cut down our trees, don't even cut down our cocoa trees. And it is not we, the farmers, that sometimes give our farms, cocoa farms, to the Galamseyers or the miners. No. I have an evidence. I said the president, the other day, Honorable, the spokesperson for the president, was here. I told him that there was something that the president have to see. As of now, they've not called. So this shows how...
What was this something? I
said there's a video, which is very serious, is dangerous. What he's talking about, fine. But then there are things that is happening on the ground, which is more dangerous.
This video, is it that it's not public video?
No, it's something that the president have to watch before advice we can even bring it out, because we made it and we spent a lot of money to do that. And then showing such a video will also cost us, because our lives have to be protected, you know, because it is not easy for you to have such a video. We want all around out for such videos. And as we are saying, there are people around who are giving this kind of concessions.
But what's this video about?
It's about this Galamsey issue. It's about our cocoa. And we told the government that we can double up the cocoa production this very year, when the opportunity is being given. By the next 4 years, by the time that John Dramani Mahama's term of office will be over, and maybe if you want to go again, fine.
Unfortunately, he cannot go again.
Let's say the next election, Ghana will lead the world production of cocoa. Okay. And we have the techniques. We know. We have been on the field, and we know what is happening. But as I'm speaking, the cocoa will continue to decline. Even the trees, almost 10 million trees will even go down this very month. They are cutting it. It is ongoing.
You need the president to watch this video. Why not the agriculture minister?
No. What I'm saying is, I've been to places, I've met several people in government and other things, and I know what I'm talking about.
But there's a new government now.
There's a new government, fine. But what I'm saying is, there's something that when Anas did the videos and other things, who watches it first? He sent it to the president to watch. Okay. To get my point. The same thing we are also calling for.
Is this some sort of an investigative piece?
Well, it is something like that. And then what I'm saying is we spend a lot, and it is a national security issue, which the president have to watch this video. We are not telling lies, exactly, you know, because our cocoa is in danger.
But what steps are you taking to have the president watch the video?
Well, getting to the office of the president sometimes is a little bit of challenge. That is why we use the media, you know, to address. We saw the spokesperson around here on a roundtable discussion. I told him that there was something of that sort. So being a spokesperson, I think by now he has even stepped on the toe of the president, that Mr. President, there's something that you need to watch, which is very important. But as at now, nothing has been done, you know. So we will continue to do our works, because at the end of the day, we started this identification of community challenges about this cocoa. Nobody give us a damn. We use our own resources. We sell brooms and other things. It is true with the concerned farmers that now Ghana can even boast of the cocoa that we even have it now, because majority of it we're about to destroy it, and we stop them. And as I'm speaking, there are a lot of farmers that they want to let their cocoa goes down. Yes.
So beyond this the legislation that the president is asking that we just might institute or establish to criminalize the cutting down of cocoa, I mean, do you agree that it should be criminalized first of all before we even go into the concern of whether it will be implemented or not?
Exactly. Even the president has kept long. The president should use his power to say that from today, when you cut down cocoa, you have to be in prison. That is all, because cocoa is Ghana and Ghana is cocoa. Cocoa is a state crop, and the government have a control over it. When you smuggle a cocoa, do you know that when you are crossing the border of Burkina and they see one single bean like this in your pocket, cocoa bean, you can be arrested? Yes, you are not supposed. So there are laws there. So the order we need is they have to reinforce it, because as I'm speaking right now, go to Chebi, they are cutting down the cocoa trees. Go to this place, Kwabe, they are cutting down the cocoa trees.
Where's Kwabe?
Children are dying. West Akim.
Okay.
Children are dying. Their pits are all over open, and farmers there cannot go to the farm because when they go, they just get drowned. They get into the pit and they die, and nobody cares. That is my surprise, that we live in a country that there's a new government, people are in place, and then we, the concerned farmers and advocacy groups, will continue to talk about this, and nothing has been done.
Now, beyond even setting up legislation or laws that will criminalize the cutting down of cocoa, currently, the new government seems to have a certain plan in place in fighting illegal mining, or what you, if you like, called Galamsey. Yeah. The current arrangements, the deployment of river guards and all, and in fact, the invitation to repeal or amend the LI that allows the president to allow some sort of mining in the forest areas. If you think that if we want to implement this existing arrangements already, it will not be enough than still even criminalize the cutting down of cocoa trees?
No, we need to criminalize it because cocoa is a tree. You see, even animals are not destroying the trees. How much more you call yourself human? That you said you have sense more than the animals, you know? Animals are there before we, but then the trees were there. Okay. Human beings are destroying the trees. So you need to, if you cut down a tree, you need to be sentenced. Let's say maybe 50 years imprisonment or 100 years imprisonment. When we do that, people will stop disturbing our trees.
But so beyond the mining, tell me some of the things that especially cocoa farmers are facing, the challenges.
Before I come to the challenges, the only thing that can save this situation, the government of the day have a policy. These are the programs that will help the young people that they are there. Because those that they are doing the mining, all that they are saying, through our findings, they said there's no job for them. What are they going to do? You know, this is their source of livelihood. This is what they can do to survive. So if the government have a job for them, they will leave the mining site and then go. We are not saying they shouldn't mine. We have a lot of people that engineers and planners have machinery, I mean big machinery that they can use for this kind of mining without illegality. We have other companies that they also have. Why is it that the government of the day will not open a tender for Ghana ourselves to do our own mining? Because other companies came and they lied to us. They'll make Ghana like Johannesburg. And let's ask ourselves, go to New Abrim and see the number of gold that they are taking out from this country to whatever that they call it, and see how the place is.
Do you have assurances in the gold board, the new gold board that Sami Gyamfi has been tasked to set up, which he believes will regulate all of this, especially the mining of gold in Ghana, which he thinks in some way, somehow will regulate all of this? Do you believe in that one?
Well, he's a young man with fresh ideas, and I think young people with fresh ideas always try to impress and then trying to do things that will also support and help the state. So let us give him a try and see. I do believe that maybe, not that maybe he will deliver, you know, he will go. So Sami Gyamfi being at that sector, I think let us give him a try.
I mean, he thinks that the gold board, if implemented, will sanitize the mining industry, because then there will be the sole body to buy and export. So it will mean that you can't even go and be cutting down cocoa trees to mine illegally, because by the time you are cutting down the cocoa tree, that would amount to some sort of illegal mining.
Yeah, so who are those that are going to mine the gold? Are we going to allow the Anglo gold and then the Newmont and other people to take our gold away? No, we don't want that. We are tired of all these foreigners taking our mineral. That is why these young people, through the findings, I said there are a lot of things that is behind the scene that they have no idea. As I'm speaking to you, we have rebels in this country. If I say rebels, how can these young people, unknown, I can't say that they are Ghanaians, because some of them, their tonation doesn't sound like they are Ghanaians, holding dangerous weapons and other things, fighting our security personnel, you know? And all these things, they are being sponsored by some people doing that. That is why I'm saying that this is a dialogue. We have the solution to solve these challenges that it is happening. You know, it is not about sending the police, the soldiers and other things. Some of the soldiers and the police that you are sending them, most of them are hungry. They are there to make a living, to take money and other things from the people. We saw them, they are investigating and other things, and then videos that came out that they extort gold and other things from the people. But then the solution is, we need to get them a job. And then the new government said, there's a policy in 24-hour economy and a whole lot of things. This is what we need to talk about. This is what they have to open it up. The Ministry of Agric, led by Honorable Eriko Poku and then John Dumelo, should be open. I mean, they should open it, split the beans out. You see, so that the young people will just go in for it. Time is going. You see, there's no time.
If you're given the opportunity to dialogue or consult with the new minister in charge of Agric and his deputy, what exactly would you be bringing on board?
I'll bring on board this.
I mean, for the Concerned Farmers Association,
yes, concerned
farmers.
Concerned farmers, what you are doing now is housing, you know, putting up housing within the various farming communities, because these young people, most of them don't even have a place to stay. When you come to Accra like this, a lot of it is being choked. They sleep in kiosks and other things. Others are into drugs, this kind of drug that they call it red and other things. It is destroying them. And these are the young people that they are going to take over the next generation. So we are putting up houses within the various farming community where they can lay up their head, and then every one house with 1 acre land, so that they can, if it's the Nkokon that they will do livestock, fine. If they will go into soya bean, they can do soya bean. If they want to go into vegetables, they can go into vegetables. This is a proper planning that has been laid down that we propose to the government. But
immediately, just immediately, beyond the mining and the cutting down of the cocoa tree, what are some of the challenges you think cocoa farmers are facing in this country?
The welfare.
Okay.
Our welfare has been taken away from us for a long time, which is constitutionalized. I mean, farmers, cocoa farmers need to get their welfare. We are not getting it. And then 2, this government came, they promised, they said they are going to do the increased price and other things, and we believe that they are going to do that, because John Dramani Mahama don't say things and then mess it up. You by all means do it. But the main challenge now is, how are they now going to solve this issue of the Galamsey?
Okay.
Because most of our lands, they are taken away from us. You will be there, and then they'll be saying that this section has been given for a concession. I witnessed a global award cocoa farm, Abraham Edusei at Chebi, was given by a concession through Office of the President. They get it, which was very dangerous. We approached them, you see, but we sent a letter to the Interior Ministry of the past government, but nothing was solved. We fought for it, and then now that land, that cocoa farm is there now.
Stay with me. Let me show you this. So, Minority Chief Whip Frank Anot Dompre has slammed the government for paying lip service to the fight against Galamsey. Speaking during the consideration of budgetary estimates for the Land Ministry, he questioned why the government claims to be serious about combating illegal mining, yet fails to allocate dedicated funding for the efforts. Now, he's been calling for an urgent conversation to ensure the necessary resources are made available to the Land Ministry in the fight against illegal mining. Take a listen.
The big fish here is Galamsey. We can't pretend about it. I'm disturbed. I've come through all the reports. How many pages? 19-page report. Not a dedicated expression on Galamsey. Why? Why? There should be so. The minister has told us that we are going to do categorization, blah, 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 blah. This is your budget. For a whole year budget, no dedication to Galamsey fight. It's regrettable. It's totally regrettable. No, you can't justify this. Because I think there should be further engagement, and I will employ the committee that they should further engage the minister. There should be definite expression for the fight against Galamsey. We can't leave it as it is. Passing statements and sweeping statements being made in this regard cannot hold and cannot justify the inaction. So, in as much as I speak in support of the motion, I think these observations should be teased out. And the minister, thankfully, is one of us. And he's not a difficult person. Some of these things, we should find a way of reinvesting it.
Well, nobody. You listen to the Deputy Chief Whip?
Yeah, I do. But then I don't have no moral right just to comment on such a thing that he's talking about. His government, when their government was in power, we sent a whole letter to the Minister of Lands and Mineral Resources, but nothing was done.
In fact, he's Minority Chief Whip, not Deputy Chief Whip. But please go on.
Nothing was done. So another press should give us a break, because their government are the people that at the end of the day, if they did something good, like by now we will not be getting to where we are now. We sent a whole letter and how we can solve this situation. Do you know what happened? When we went to the Minerals Commission, it was the CEO then. I think he's now even the current CEO, Mr. Isi Boateng. He's the one that supported us, even motivated the young people. You see, for those that were in the bush, to get away from the bush, to go back home, and even supported some of us. to erase piglet and other things for those that they were doing the Galamsey, and to say that, listen, from today onwards, I will not do the Galamsey again, but then I'll go for piggery, so I'll start doing the piggery. You see, so what Anodon Pray is saying that the minister, whatever, you should give us a break because you have no moral right to talk about even the mining, to talk about Galamsey at all, because their government did nothing. They spent millions of dollars fighting Galamsey, but all was a scam. I will say this all because we, if I say we the concerned farmers, were on the field. Honorable Festesowa, the MP for Dunkwao, was a witness. I went to his constituency and told them, Honorable, young people in your constituency, this is what they are doing. And we are here to make sure that they will no more get into the Galamsey, but then to get something doing. And do you know what he said? He said, Nana, it is a brilliant idea. I even have a way to solve this kind of Galamsey issue. So my people, it's good that you are here. So the assemblymen there collaborate with us, put up names and other things, and the honorable, they help the young people at that side. You see, but the rest of them, they just talk just like that, without any action. Ask then the former, how do you call it, the minister, what did he do? Abu Jinapol. So what did he do? Nothing. All of them were just milking this country, enjoying themselves. When you go to his office, it's more than even the presidency. Do you get it? But they did nothing to save the situation. Nothing.
Let me go on phone. Still stay with me. Let me engage Mr. Kenashigbe. I know that you have been talking a lot about what the current government, forgive me, Dr. Kenashigbe, you've been talking a lot, but particularly what the president has been saying today, that we should criminalize the cutting down of cocoa trees. What's your reaction to this?
Well, good afternoon. It is criminal to cut down cocoa trees. You know, these economic trees are criminal. At some point, you remember, the cocoa board wanted to take action. So it's good that the president is saying it. But you see, where we've gotten to is action that we require. You know, so I think it's good to say it. We need to see that in action. Because unfortunately, you have a lot of, you know, the minister is working, the president is saying the good things, but unfortunately the criminals are in it, doing it. So it would be helpful, you know, for the president to move these things into action. And for us, one of the critical things that is currently, you know, facing us is this issue of, you know, these militants and, you know, combatants that have come from neighboring countries and are providing security to the extent that when the military goes in and turns a red zone into a yellow zone, you know, and the Forestry Commission people go in again, they go butchering them and all of that. So it is important that we realize the fact that we are at war. These people are coming at our, you know, one of the critical things for resources for us, which is cocoa, you know, and they are damaging that. The Chinese at this stage that we're talking about, when they are destroying our cocoa and all of that, they are going into cocoa and they are producing cocoa as well. So we should see what is happening. And I think that what the president has done, has called, is in the right direction. But we should go beyond calls and see how we deal with the situation. You know, how we make sure that, you know...
Doc, I hear you say that it is criminal to cut down cocoa tree. Does this suggest that the law already exists, as if it's criminal?
I believe so, because I remember in the past, Cocoa Board had raised that issue about, you know, some of the distractions that have been done to cocoa at economic fees. So I'm pretty sure if it is not a law already, there might be a policy or something on it. So what we need to do is to make sure that we implement these things that we're talking about, because the things about cocoa, that you go into some of those places, if it is not the cocoa farmers themselves who are selling it, it is these criminals who would dig pits around your cocoa farm in such a way that you will not be able to go to it. I have one of my friends, the mother, I'm currently battling with her, helping her to resolve one of the issues where a cocoa farm that was left to her by, you know, her father and all of that have been taken over by some of these Galamsey. So it's really, you know, something that is really disturbing, and it accounts for the challenges that we've encountered where our cocoa production is on the decline. Apart from the fact that also now you've had situations where the EU has returned some of our cocoa because of the level of heavy metals that are in them as well. And this is hitting directly at the heart of our sustainability, so far as our, you know, our economy is concerned.
Doc, let's explore some implementation bit of this, even if it's a law, if it's a policy, whatever it is. But if it's the farmer himself that is electing himself to cut down the cocoa tree because they believe that mining would give them more money than the cocoa, how that can we agree with this?
So here is where, you know, you don't just go with the stick approach, but you also need to go with the carrot approach as well. So we need to ensure that the cocoa farmer is also getting his due when it comes to the issues of, you know, the economic return on cocoa, when it comes to the support that the cocoa farmer has also gotten. But again, who is also explaining to the cocoa farmer that if you sold your cocoa, you know, that you sold that land at, you know, 10,000 cedis an acre or so, you know, and it is damaged beyond repair, that is gone. So that, you know, asset that was a transgenerational asset is completely gone. So beyond the issue of the stick that we will carry, we need to also make sure that the cocoa farmer is getting his due with what is happening where the price of cocoa is, you know, on the ascendancy. We need to be giving the cocoa farmer their due, and then we need to make sure that cocoa clinic is not only in Accra, somewhere in Bubuachi, but in the places they are at. We need to make sure that the cocoa board scholarship, you know, the cocoa farmers' children are also getting all of that. And then we add to that the education that cutting their cocoa trees down for gold today is depriving they themselves and then those who are coming after them the resources that are required.
Are you confident about this law if it is successfully started or implemented? Are you confident about it?
Well, my whole confidence about, you know, the fight against Galamsey, the fact that, the president, when he was in opposition, talked about, revoking LI 2462, and now we are seeing an appeal. The fact that we have the Minerals and Mining Act as amended in 2019 that says that when foreigners are caught, they will be punished. But now we are hearing a Minister for Interior talking about deporting them. The fact that the NDC supported our call for a state of emergency, but now that we are here, we are being threatened. A Forestry Commission person is being, killed, almost killed. We still are not doing it. The only thing about it is that today you have a minister who has a listening ear. Just this morning, we had a meeting with the minister, and we've had some conversations that might be leading to a national dialogue. I'm sure the minister will be announcing that the detail of that. We are hearing the president say the right things. It's just a few of the other things that we need to do. Because unfortunately, I don't know whether it's because they see the minister as acting, the Galamseyers are also upping their game and they are destroying a lot more of it. So, yes, I'm cautiously optimistic, but the only way these things will happen is if we keep the pressure on the president, if we keep the pressure on the minister, supporting them to do what is right and pointing out to them the areas that they need to strengthen and correct.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, for talking to us this afternoon. Back in the studio, I saw that you wanted to react to the question of whether it is already illegal to cut down.
It is illegal.
Wait, what if the farmer decides? I mean, he's been answering this question, but from you as a farmer.
Do you know what happened? When they were cutting down the cocoa trees, replacing it with rubber at Esikesu, I called Hackman Owusu-Agyemang. Then he was the board member or board chairman at that time. He told me that it's an economic situation. A farmer can choose to destroy his cocoa and plant rubber. That is what he said.
What do you think of that?
And it is very bad, and it is an ungodly statement that he made. Economic situation. So if it is economic situation, fine. All farmers have to go, cut down their cocoa trees and replace it with rubber.
Is that the true meaning of what he meant to say? If a farmer is faced with the decision to take an economic or make an economic decision.
But as a board member, as an elder, you don't have to speak like that because we're in a serious situation. And then they were taking it. It is not that the farmers are cutting down their cocoa trees.
Does morals play in economics?
Did you get it? It was being forced. Police and other things was forced. Others lost their lives and other things. But there are laws which protect the cocoa tree, but it is not enforced. But the problem here is, I've been saying that cocoa board have to have an agreement between them and then the farmer.
Okay.
Giving out your cocoa seedlings for the farmers, there was no agreement that I'm giving you this and that. All that the government do is, or they just nest the cocoa seedlings and then they give it out to the farmers. And some of them are not even farmers. They go for the seedlings, put it on the land, and tell the Galamseyers that, listen, I have a land, there's cocoa on it. For them to get more compensation because the cocoa that is on it, they will get money, more money. You see?
Before I let you go, Nana, you talked about welfare.
Yeah.
What about the welfare for of cocoa farmers is the major concern?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that for so many years, we've not received our welfare. That has been a bigger challenge.
In the past, how was it done in terms of the welfare?
The welfare they do give us, we do have our welfare and other things,
Okay.
you know, but for now, for some years, we have not gotten it. That is what we are fighting for.
Okay.
And then two, compare where we live and we are feeding the country. We are the backbone of this economy. We don't even have good roads, not even hospital, not even good school. My son died all because there is no hospital.
I'm sorry to hear this.
You know, there's no hospital. And when you send, it is only in Ghana that when you go to hospital, say that they've closed. You get it? A lot of people are dying all because of all these things. And you are telling me that I should go back and do this cocoa? No. It takes only those that they have the heart of this country that now they are doing the cocoa. A lot of them said, no more cocoa, but rubber plantation or Galamsey. But what we are doing now is we are doing advocacy, going around to the various Galamsey prone areas for reclamation, covering all these the lands and then plant Cinderella, you know, tree.
Cinderella is a tree?
Yeah, we have some tree called Cinderella.
Okay.
Cinderella, yeah.
Cinderella, okay.
Cinderella tree,
Okay.
you know, that is what we are trying our best to do,
Okay.
you know. But all these things back up to the CEO of Minerals Commission. He has done massively well. I'm saying that I can say that even the president have to award him because he's part of those that were fighting this Galamsey behind us, supporting us. You know, young people that they said, no, from today.
Minerals Commission,
Yes.
the CEO. But why
Yes.
is he fighting it behind us? It's a duty to fight it for us all to see.
Not if I say fighting it behind us and other things, it's like there's no funding for such
the fight of it.
So we sometimes go to him, please, we have this and that. Sometimes we push him, you know,
Okay.
because our things is being destroyed.
Okay.
We sometimes attack him and say, no, please don't bring all these things to me. If not, and he's tried all his best in a way from his pocket just to make sure that these young people that they are the Galamsey side get away from it. Okay. So what we are doing now is we are doing reclamation, trying to reclaim the land back. And that is the only thing that can save the situation. Whilst we are reclaiming the land back, planting trees and other things, and then also engaging these young people on a dialogue for them also to get something to do. Because for now, if we are saying that no more Galamsey, what are they going to do? You've not created any jobs for these people, you see, and they can't come back to the street. So now they are living in the forest. Most of them sleep there. There was a BBC documentary that he did. I was with them. In the night, they mine in the night, go to the Chihuahua forest in the night to do all this kind of thing. So what we are saying is our trees will continue to destroy if proper channel is not being put in place. And when we use this military and the police and other things, it's going to be something else at all, because at the moment, there are rebels. We have foreigners that invaded these young people there, that they are even polluting the minds of our citizens for them to have this kind of weapon to fight our own people.
Right. Well, we look forward to the invitation from government for the Concerned Farmers Association. And when that invitation comes, do let us know. Thank you for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Right, moving on. Former Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuah has welcomed the lawsuit challenging President Mahama's decision to forward a petition to the Council of State for consideration. The president initiated the move on earlier this week, but MP for Old Tafo, Vincent Ekosifwa, has petitioned the Supreme Court to nullify the decision. Here are excerpts of the suit that I'm going to be rolling on your screen for you shortly. Right, and on your screen, petition to remove CJ, and the nature of reliefs that he's seeking as follows. A declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of Articles 146, Clause 1, Clause 2, 46, and Clause 7, and Article 23, 57, Clause 3, and 296 of the Constitution, the President is mandated to notify the Chief Justice about a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice and obtain his or her comments and responses to the content of such petition before referring the petition to the Council of State or commencing the consultation. It continues to say that a declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of Articles 146, Clause 1, 2, 46, 7, 23, and 297 of the 296 of the 19th Constitution, if allowed by the President to notify the Chief Justice and obtain his or her comments and responses to a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice before triggering the consultation process by the Council of State will amount to a constitution of violation or will constitute a violation of Article 146, Clause 6, as well as the constitutional protection of the security of tenure of the Chief Justice, who is a Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature, stipulated in Article 146, Clause 1 of the Constitution. Now, the third one will be a declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of the above articles that I'd already mentioned, a failure by the President to notify the Chief Justice and obtain his or her comments and responses to a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice before triggering the consultation process with the Council of State amounts to an unjustified interference with the independence of the judiciary enshrined in Article 127, Clause 1 and 2 of the Constitution. Then it continues that it's seeking a declaration that the failure by the President to notify the Chief Justice and obtain her comments and responses to a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice before triggering the process for her removal constitutes a violation of the fundamental right of a fair hearing contained in Article 23 and 296 and renders the consultation process for the removal of the Chief Justice initiated by the President null, void, and of no effect. Well, and any others as the Honorable Court may seem to meet. And here are the reliefs that Vincent Eko Asifwa is seeking the Supreme Court for. Meanwhile, in a newly published write-up, a private legal practitioner, Thaddeus Sorry, dismissed the MP's lawsuit as, quote, much ado about nothing, end quote. Here are excerpts of the questions he raised regarding the suit as well, and I'll be rolling them on your screen. It says that petition to remove CJ, comment by Thaddeus Sorry, says that if the Constitution explicitly states that where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall act in consultation with the Council of State, it is unconstitutional for the President to refer the petitions to, is it unconstitutional for the President to refer the petitions to the Council of States? The question he's asking. It also continues to ask, should the President unilaterally decide on the petitions without engaging the Council of States as mandated? That's another question he's asking. He says that, does referring the petitions to the Council of State amount to a prima facie determination without giving the Chief Justice a hearing? Does his referral prevent the Chief Justice from later providing her comments on the petitions? So these are the concerns that Thaddeus Sorry has been raising on the suits challenging the referral of the petition to the Council of State. But let's also engage former Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Alfred Teyeboah. Well, you have heard and you have seen the responses by Thaddeus Sorry. What's your reaction to this? I earlier in the afternoon engaged with you on your position as to whether the suit really has merit, and you were giving us some education. But what's your reaction to Thaddeus Sorry's questions that he's raising?
I just heard the questions that you read out. I do not know whether Thaddeus Sorry provided answers. And I do not intend providing any answers because as a senior member of the bar, I do not have to do anything that will be prejudicial to the substantive matter. But questions can be raised about the suit. And so that's my response to the questions raised by Councillor Thaddeus Sorry.
So let's just have some education as well on the Article 146 and the process particularly that allows the President, when a person petitions, and what the President should do. If you look at the provision 146 in its entirety, and so far what the President has done, the steps he has taken, does it look like any violation at all, on the face of it at all?
If you take a look at Article 146 of the Constitution, it deals with removal of Superior Court judges. And you have two categories of Superior Court judges, if I may put it that way. You have the Superior Court judge as a superior court judge. And the other side, you have a superior court judge who is the chief justice. When it comes to the removal of the chief justice, you must first and foremost know that she is a superior court judge. And so all the provisions relating to the removal of superior court judges apply to her. And that's the very reason why, in a particular matter, you've heard about prima facie determination. So if you read the original text of the Constitution, you don't find that provision when it comes to the removal of the Chief Justice. But it took a citizen of the land to take the matter to Supreme Court somewhere in 2005 for the court to read into the provisions in 146 that the Chief Justice, being a judge for that matter, is also entitled to have that provision relating to prima facie determination. And in the JQ case, Supreme Court made it clear that the president will have to make the prima facie determination in consultation with the Council of State. I think when the president received this petition, he decided to forward it. I'm not part of the presidency to the Council of State. Now, the question that's coming up is whether a prima facie determination can be made without notifying the person whose conduct in court is being questioned in the petition. So that's the essence of this particular suit that we've all read. But looking at the Constitution, you may want to say that there's nowhere written in the Constitution that the subject of the investigation should be notified. But what has been the practice? I mean, the current administration has been in office before. There are other administrations that have been in office. And I think we have to leave the Supreme Court to determine whether, upon a careful reading of Article 146 and other relevant provisions, especially Article 23, 296, and 7 of the Constitution, before the president can consult the Council of State to make that prima facie determination, the CJ ought to be notified.
Okay. Again, some education here. Until a prima facie is determined, what then will the Supreme Court judge or the judge, what would he or she be responding to? Just the petition?
Two things. Notifying her that 3 petitions have been filed against you and that is being submitted to the Council of State for a determination of whether there's a prima facie case. And secondly, that from the political point of view, also asking her to provide her comments relative to the petition that has been filed against her. And that's the crux of the case of the plaintiff that the Supreme Court is going to determine.
Okay. So, for example, if he or she responds to the petition and agrees to whatever allegations that the Constitution actually provides that these petitioners have raised, then there will be no need for the prima facie? Or it is when he or she is saying otherwise that we can proceed to the next stage?
In terms of the prima facie, even if the person is notified and she admits, the Constitution has not made a provision that the process must be truncated. So we have to set up a committee for the committee, 5-member committee, to go into the petition. And so it's not about whether the person is admitting or denying. The provision will be triggered from the start up to the end of that particular proceeding.
Please hang it there for me. I'd like to engage a private legal practitioner, Martin Pebu. I thank you for joining us this afternoon. I am certain that you may have seen the reliefs that AfCFTA is seeking from the Supreme Court. And again, you may have seen the reaction from Thaddeus Story. He's been raising some questions. But on the face of it, has the president in any way erred, especially according to 146 or any other provision at all in the Constitution? Do I have... Oh, forgive me. I'll try and see if I can reconnect to Martin Pebu, but I'll go back to Mr. Tiayebo again and find out, well, maybe this gentleman, as I spoke to you this afternoon, you mentioned that we don't know the information that is available to him. Otherwise, then my question will be, the entire process we've been learning that should be done in camera. At what stage then do we as a people or the public or this gentleman who is a citizen, which is why he's seeking this relief in court, would he know that the Chief Justice has been notified or not?
No, in terms of the camera hearing, in-camera hearing, it is about the content of the petition and the hearing of that petition.
Okay.
That's what's covered. So the content and then the hearing. In any event, I think it's now settled legally that even if the petition is made available to the public, it does not vitiate the proceedings relative to the removal of a person from office as a judge.
But at the moment, would it mean that until the president is seeking a response or a reaction from the Chief Justice, he or she cannot elect himself or herself to want to react to it in any way at all?
If the relief as claimed by the plaintiff are sustained by the Supreme Court, then that is the meaning. It means that the current president and future presidents will have to abide by such a decision.
Okay. Please, again, hang in there for me. I'd like to engage Mr. Martin Kpebu. Thank you for reconnecting with us. Has the president in any way, procedurally, erred in any way, looking at it with the face of 146 or any other provision in the Constitution? Mr. Kpebu, kindly unmute.
Yes. All right. So I said I don't see any breach of the law by the president. Not at all. You see, there are some parts of the process that we are mixing up. Let's understand the process is in 2 stages. The first part is that when the president receives it, that's the petition for the removal. The president, in consultation with the Council of State, must make a prima facie determination. It just simply means the president should look at it and see if there is any basis for the tribunal to be set up. So contrary to what I heard Senator Ebua submit, the setting up of the 5-member tribunal is not automatic. The prima facie determination must first be made. Now, in order to make that prima facie determination, you don't always need the response of the Chief Justice, or if it's any other justice of the Supreme Court or Superior Court. But in this case, I'll limit to the Chief Justice. So let me explain. Assuming that, please, what's your name again?
MFR.
Hello?
Mr. Kpebu, my name is MFR.
MFR. Assuming you are Chief Justice, so Chief Justice MFR, and then let's say that Kaloni is President of Ghana. So Mr. Ebua makes a petition against MFR, the Chief Justice. Kaloni is President. He receives it. Now, MFR has not signed the petition. So you wrote your name, but you didn't sign. So Kaloni looks at it and thinks that this thing that is not signed, I want to dismiss it, because once MFR has not signed, how will we know that MFR is truly coming from It's Ebua who is making the claim. So based on this, you don't need the response of MFR's Chief Justice. Mr. Ebua's petition can be dismissed by the president consulting the Council of State. It's not necessary. Number 2, it's also possible that even MFR would sign but doesn't write her name. In that case, it's even worse. We don't even know the name of the person making the petition, right? In that case, the president, in consultation with the Council of State, can dismiss it without asking the Chief Justice to answer. So you see that many other mistakes can be made. Assuming the president receives a petition, which is just full of insults, invectives, vitriol, doesn't say much, but it just keeps insulting, rambling over, doesn't make sense, too many typographical errors, it's incoherent. How are you going to give that to the MFR as Chief Justice to respond? No. So the president will consult the Council of State and say, listen, I've dismissed it. So I think that we shouldn't run ahead of ourselves. What we should watch is that what the president cannot generally do is that if they find there is some merit in the petition, they cannot say Chief Justice Tokodu should go before the tribunal, the 5-member panel. That's the stage 2, if they've not heard from her. So that is the only one that would be a breach. But as for receiving the petition, the president must peruse it. If he has any concerns that he thinks makes the petition defective, he will consult the Council of State. I think this petition is defective in this respect. I'm going to dismiss it. What do you think? If they agree, it's dismissed. You don't need MFR as Chief Justice to respond. Please.
So this performance of the president, is it discretionary, or there's a law that allows him to say, well, on the face of it, I just want to forward it to the Council of State so that they help me determine a prima facie case? Or I think that even before the determination, I want to engage the Chief Justice and say, well, there are 3 petitions against you. What do you say? Is it discretionary, or the interpretation of the law amounts to this?
It's the interpretation of the law.
Okay.
It's the interpretation of the law, because prima facie means that the accuser has said something. So you can look at what the accuser alone has said, and you can dismiss it outright without asking the respondent, in this case, the Chief Justice, to respond. So even if we understand the meaning of it, and Sanselade Ayenene has written a beautiful article on it. You Google, you find it online. Beautiful, because he did the Shrike case, Loretta Lamte. You know, at that time, other people who sent in their petitions, they wrote and didn't write well. So Chief Justice Georgina would dismiss those petitions without even asking the Shrike boss to respond, because those other petitions were not good. Okay. So she threw them out. It is the one Samson Ladi Ayenene, the host of Newsfile and lawyer, wrote that was taken in and eventually led to that. There are many other examples that we could give. Even the word, let's all understand, prima facie, it means that you, the one bringing in the petition, if you don't write it well enough and it's defective, the president can consult the Council of State and dismiss it without asking Chief Justice to. So we are running ahead of ourselves when nobody has seen the petition. So let the president consult.
When the Chief Justice responds or is engaged on this, will it also be done privately? Will the public see it? What does it mean when they say the process is done in camera? Good.
So this is what is going to happen. When the president finishes consulting the Council of State and he thinks he will dismiss it, he will give a ruling and it will be published. Remember, on the 3rd of January, when Ekufuado did the one, you know, Professor Kwekwa Asare, properly called Asa, he sent a petition that Gertrude Tokonu, Chief Justice, be removed. When Ekufuado finished the process, he published his ruling. So it's going to come out. So it's not going to be secretive. And then let's also add, maybe to obviate such lawsuits. That's why in the Frank Ejechu case, the Supreme Court said that there should be rules, proper rules should be drawn out, fleshed out, so that it can avoid some of these things. But trust me, the president and the Council of State can look at this thing first to determine if it's proper before they will send it to Chief Justice Tokonu. If they think it's not proper, they can dismiss it and not ask Tokonu to respond. Please.
Okay.
Yes.
Please stay with me. I'll come back to you. And when I come to you, I'll be finding out from you the constitution of the tribunal, as it will be by the Council of State in consultation with the president again, whether there is any conflict of interest in there. So please stay with me. But on phone, I'm joined by Sam Okujeto, former chairman for the Council of State. And I'd like to engage you on this because of your role and your performance in the Council of State over the years. This application, this petition, and a citizen, for that matter, a member of parliament, going to the Supreme Court to seek this particular relief, is the whole process coming to you as a surprise? And if not, why?
Well, you're asking an interesting question. The petition was has been submitted to the former president on that same issue. It was referred to the Council of State. The council decided that there was no prima facie case, that indeed the person who wrote the petition doesn't seem to understand the whole process of the judicial administration and the powers which are given to the Chief Justice. Unfortunately, that person publicized the petition that he has sent, which of course we thought was improper. You see, when a petition is sent to the president and you go and you give it publicity, you give a whole hour, then tomorrow somebody will come and start speculating as to why did the president not do this, why did the council not do that. It is not meant for public consumption. So we need to understand that clearly, because you taint the high office of a Chief Justice, a very extremely important position in the legal hierarchy. The law says that the president should send a petition to the Council of State. It is responsible of the Council of State to consider that petition. If it feels that no prima facie case is made, the subject closes there.
Okay.
It is only when the Council of State has found that there is prima facie case that the process continues for the appointment of a tribunal to do the vetting.
Well, at this stage, would the Chief Justice would have been notified, or it will be after the determination of the prima facie case? And at this point, is it discretionary?
The matter, the law didn't say that the Chief Justice should be notified. It didn't say that. But there is nothing preventing the Council of State from sending it to the Chief Justice for a reaction, because that might enable them even more authentically to say that there is no prima facie case.
What does this
because
mean?
Allegations are made. Sometimes you find out that those who made allegations don't even have any facts to substantiate it.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just speculation that they do. But sometimes because there is a grievance they have against the Chief Justice, because something has happened, they don't understand it, they will not even go and inquire about it, and then they go write a petition.
What does this mean to the judicial landscape in this country? What does this mean if it moves to the next stage? If it moves to the second stage, where a tribunal is set up, the setup of the tribunal, where if a prima facie case is determined, what does this mean?
If the prima facie case is determined by the Council of State, it is then that they will forward it for the composition of a tribunal.
Yes, please.
That is the way it is. But I'm saying that before then, those things are not meant to be an issue for publicity and for conspiracy. Because when you do that, you taint the whole of the judiciary.
Currently, has the president breached any of the stages at all?
Unless somebody from the presidency went and publicized it, then that becomes a problem.
Okay.
That is my view.
So far, concerns have been raised that the Chief Justice has not been notified. And so there's a citizen of this country called Vincent Eko Asefa, who is a member of Parliament for Tafo in the Ashanti region, headed to court seeking certain declarations, seeking certain declarations that because, and the crux of his relief that he's seeking is that the Chief Justice, at the point of prima facie case that the president is consulting the current Council of State members for, the Chief Justice has not been notified, and so it will amount to a violation of the fundamental right or the fair hearing and a few other things that he mentioned. Has the president...
How did he come to know the point that I'm raising? I'm saying that you, the media, sometimes you are so quick in jumping at issues that things that maybe you shouldn't talk about, you want to talk about. That is the whole issue that I'm talking about. I'm just saying that when the previous petition was sent, the person himself went and publicized it. And in the ruling of the Council of State, we said that what they had done was improper. That it was improper for him to go and publicize. It's like I'm sitting here, then someone come and I said, this person has done something. I suspect that it's a thief. Well, my suspicion of the thief does not make the person a thief, does it? No, it does not. So unless a case is made against the person. And so, well, maybe you can wait for the Supreme Court to make its ruling because it's the first time of this nature that somebody is challenging them. But I am of the view that you, the media, are sometimes too quick in trying to publicize everything without knowing. If the Chief Justice has not been notified, you, the media, has a way to know. Why don't you ask her?
Well, it's a citizen that is headed to court, and these are his concerns. It does not matter
which of a citizen. What I'm saying is that we are taking this freedom of an individual to do certain things. We are overstepping it.
Okay.
We are overstepping it, and it is not in the image of the country.
Okay.
Because what you are doing now, that publicity that you have started would have gone to the media abroad. Then it is an issue that the Chief Justice is being tried. When in fact there may be no iota of facts or truth in the whole substance of the matter. That is what I'm trying to say.
All right, Mrs. Samukujetu, thank you for talking to us this afternoon. But back to Mr. Martin Kpebu. We were on the process of understanding just the procedure as provided in the Constitution, which I'm not too sure what the media has done wrong for now. But on the face of it, it also suggests that if it goes to the second stage, then the Council of State will set up a tribunal. The question of conflict of interest, has it come to your attention?
I see what you mean, but it's the case that, so you mean conflict on the part of the president, right? Yes, but unfortunately, that's how the current architecture works. The Constitution says it's the president's duty. So usually they say when it comes to constitutional provisions like this, the conflict rule, what we are mentioning, cannot override the express words of the Constitution. It's the same thing that applies to the Chief Justice. So MFI, as we speak now, if there is a matter, okay, in court, right, people would seek to, so let's say the J2 matter.
Yes.
When the J2 matter went to court, the Chief Justice had to empanel the court. A J2 raised the objection that, oh, this matter, it concerns the Chief Justice. And not this particular one, the Chief Justice at the time. So it's not good for the Chief Justice to empanel the judges, that's to choose which judges will sit on the matter. The Supreme Court looked at it and said, no, when there is such a duty to be performed, we cannot use conflict of interest as a rule to prevent the constitutional duty being performed. But in principle, I'm with you. What you're talking about, that sometimes maybe a president may be interested in the removal of a Chief Justice who is not seen to be holding the views of the president or his political party. You have a fair point. There's a question, there's something to be said there. That's how come when it comes to the new Constitution, we are advocating that in the new Constitution, the one JM has set up a committee to deal with, we should not have the president appointing the Chief Justice. We should not have the president appointing Supreme Court judges. We should not have the president appointing High Court judges. We should not have the president appointing Court of Appeal judges, right? So we want strict separation of powers. That's in the new Constitution we are asking for. So this, your question, provides further impetus for the constitutional review that most Ghanaians are clamoring for.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Martin Kpebu. And I'll go to Mr. Tiayebwa for your final reactions. You have heard Mr. Samukujetu. You've also heard Mr. Martin Kpebu. But finally, this citizen who's headed to court, I do not suggest that maybe you preempt what the Supreme Court will be arriving at. But sometimes if you look at the law and because of your background in law, the release that he is seeking, is he likely to get all of them?
All right. Once again, I'm unable to offer an answer to that because it's a pending matter at the Supreme Court.
Right.
I will leave it now. But what I would say is that if you take the Ajay case that we've been talking about, before that particular case, the impression had been created that if a petition was filed against a Chief Justice, he was not entitled to that proper fact determination. So when you went to just like this one, people were a bit skeptical whether it was going to succeed or it was not going to succeed. But the Supreme Court read into the Constitution that will enable the CJ to also have that kind of determination. So this was a similar instance where you don't have it explicitly stated, but someone has gone to court. Let's wait and see what the Supreme Court will do.
Mr. Terrible, once again, thank you for joining us today. You're watching The Pulse. We go for a quick break. When we come back, the show continues. Please stay with us. Welcome back to The Pulse. Now, former Minister for Defense Dominic Nitiwul has warned Ghana's sports infrastructure is at risk of deteriorating without dedicated funds for maintenance. Parliament has approved 65 million cedis for the services of the sports ministry, but without any allocation for capital expenditure. Commenting on the allocation on the floor in Parliament, Dominic Nitiwul cited the infrastructure used for the African Games as the main ones at a risk of deterioration without the needed resources to maintain them.
If you look at the massive infrastructure development because of the All-African Games that this particular ministry or the former ministry undertook, they will need a lot of capital injection to be able to keep these facilities well. It is the more reason why the sports minister says that, or sports and recreation minister says that, looking into the future, they want to rehabilitate a number of stadia, including Baba Yara, Cape Coast, New Dubiasi, and all this. But Mr. Speaker, when I go to page 8 of the report that the chairman presented, there is no capex. There's no capital expenditure. It's zero. It's the reason I want the finance minister to speak to this particular. Well, the finance minister should be the one telling us that. I want the finance minister to speak to this particular issue because sports is so important to all of us. Especially football is so important to all of us. The facilities that they are building, what the man wants to do, what the minister wants to do, you cannot have a situation whereby this ministry has nothing for capital expenditure. Zero, nothing. Not even 10 million Ghana cedis for him to be able to use to at least take care of the pitches and especially the astroturfs that are there. I know the National Sports Authority will use their IGF to take care of some of the major ones. But if you want to really go in there to do proper renovation, you need capex. So I want to find out from the Minister for Finance, should speak to this, whether they're going to use the big push to do it, what they're going to do. To have zero, nothing, I don't think it's good. And you are going to have a situation whereby Ghana is almost qualifying for the World Cup, and you need to be able to keep the place, to keep the people moving and make sure that your facilities are kept in good shape. Otherwise, all the new facilities will build. If we don't start looking after them properly, Mr. Speaker, I tell you, in a year or 2 years' time, we are going to have a big problem.
Minority Chief Whip Frank Anadompe backed this position, calling on the Sports Committee of the House to follow with the Sports Ministry for the needed allocation to be made.
Dedicated for the maintenance of these sports facilities. We've invested so much into these infrastructures, and it cannot be the case that we leave it as it is until we have a tournament coming before we go in there. Yes, we commend the minister. He intervened on time and ensure that these interventions were executed. But Speaker, it has to be traditionally done. And it's something we must do to make sure the national assets don't run down. Speaker, I cannot agree more with my senior colleague that, yes, we cannot vary the volume, the entire volume of the budget, but we can change positions. We can make some interpositional changes in terms of the allocation. And the chairman and the ranking should take this matter up. We will approve the budget contingent on you following up. Are you listening? Chairman, follow up. I saw you at the Accra Sports Stadium encouraging encouraging the blasters. That's not good enough. Follow up to make sure we get allocation for CAPEX.
Now, away from Parliament, the lead counsel for the first interested party in the AfCFTA parliamentary election case is accusing the convicted member of Parliament of perjury by filing fake Gazette notification at the court. The lawyer says they have already initiated processes at the police CID to prosecute the convicted AfCFTA MP Ernest Kumi. Bernard Bediako-Bedu, in an interview with my colleague Latif Idrisu at the Supreme Court, said regardless of the outcome at the Apex Court hearing, the injunction and contempt applications, the MP and his lawyers would have to explain the inconsistencies in numbers of the Gazette notification. On the Gazette notification they filed as against the numbers on the EC's own Gazette notification.
Petition was entertained without a Gazette notification. This is instructive. In fact, that is their case, that it happened without a Gazette notification. Per what is before the Supreme Court, was there a Gazette notification or not? There was. They haven't said that what we exhibited is wrong, or is improper, or is fake. They haven't said that. And so if there is record to show, even if it is today, that the court has come to know that indeed it had been gazetted on the 24th, that ends the matter. Because they are saying that as at 31st we filed the petition, the Electoral Commission had not gazetted the results. If we have record, even today, because jurisdiction could be raised at any time. And so if they are raising it and it turned out that indeed we had the notification done on the 24th, I think that ends the matter. And so some of these little errors would not. Don't forget that this is the Supreme Court and its jurisdiction at this moment, instantly, is law. It is not an appeal. They are not here to determine the matter based on appeal. They are determining the matter based on a certiorari application, which substantially has to do with law. And so they have the honors to prove that what happened on the face of the record was unlawful. So far, when he had him process to process, he couldn't state the law that the learned trial judge breached. He couldn't state it. Counsel for applicant couldn't state it. There is no law that the learned trial judge breached. Indeed, that is not to say that he doesn't have a remedy, but the law says that his remedy lies with appeal and not certiorari application, which he has filed. Indeed, we are in the Court of Appeal in Kufuridia too. But the two can go hand in hand because it's lawful to file both. But the requirement here is not the same as the requirement on appeal. So it's not just to put in pen or to raise questions about the procedure, but most importantly, it should be law, grounded in law, that the judge committed an error of law, which we haven't seen. So we leave the decision for your lordships. When they determine, on the day when we come, we look forward to the determination of the matter, and we take it from there.
Away from the court, head of planning department at KNUST, Professor Clifford Amwako, says budget cuts may stall Ashanti region's infrastructure development in 2025. According to him, budget allocation for infrastructure declined from 7.3 billion cedis in 2024 to 6.1 billion cedis in 2025. But the government has promised to complete stalled infrastructure projects in the region. Nana Yaojima has more in the following report.
Major infrastructure projects of high interest in the Ashanti region include Swami Interchange Project and Phase 2 of the Kejetia Redevelopment Project. Residents are anticipating a completion of these projects to boost economic opportunities in the region. But head of planning department at KNUST, Professor Clifford Amwako, wants expectations to be limited on the fulfillment of infrastructure projects.
The 2024 budget had an estimated total of about 7.34 billion Ghana cedis for such infrastructure project. And then the 2025 budget rather now looks at it at 6.1 billion, which means that we are having a cut of about 16.8%. It isn't clearly explained in the budget, as I said it. Probably could be that resources are not available or something might have happened, but it's not clearly explained. That means that some infrastructure projects might not be continued, or even if they are continued, they may delay.
The 2025 budget allocated 13.8 billion cedis to the Big Push, a campaign policy aimed at improving infrastructure in the country. Professor Amoako says a policy statement will be needed.
The write-up in the budget on the Big Push wasn't too clear as to where exactly the Big Push is going. In terms of infrastructure, in terms of how it is distributed, there isn't any policy document that seems to support it. It is not referenced to any proposals. So maybe the finance ministry may come later with a clearer, direct, if you like, policy push that will explain it further. But for now, we do not have any clear explanation for the Big Push.
Former board chairman of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Ernest Kwakon, believes the budget allocation is inadequate considering the health needs of the Ashanti region.
The continuing health infrastructure project may need more funding than what probably has been allocated. If you look at it countrywide. Today I spoke only about Ashanti mine, but remember that there are other replicas of needed infrastructure across the rest of the country.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Minister for Local Government and Chieftaincy Ahmed Ibrahim is proposing the introduction of a sanitation levy to tackle sanitation concerns and water contamination the country is facing. He believes the introduction of the fund and levy is long overdue. There's more in the following report.
Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Foreign Affairs Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim has emphasized the need for policy interventions to safeguard Ghana's water resources. Speaking at a recent stakeholder consultation to address the country's worsening sanitation and water quality, he urged corporate organizations to support the maintenance of facilities provided by the government and international donor partners. Following the recent suspension of USAID operations in several African countries by U.S. President Donald Trump, the minister emphasized the need for Ghana to become self-reliant and take full ownership of its water and sanitation infrastructure.
As a country, we seem to be joking with funding, searching for solutions. You have big powers heading some corporate institutions where they even send the corporate social responsibility to their hometown, and not even the local people who are even suffering from the consequences of their activities. And if you look at the haphazard way of locating unplanned community water services and other things, it's a problem. And that's why I'm of the view that we should create a pool. USAID may not be able to do much. World Vision may not be able to do much, but they started very well with us. The sustainability should be our core responsibility. We must be thinking of how to sustain their activities after they are no more.
The minister also reviewed plans to reintroduce a sanitation fund to tackle the country's growing sanitation crisis, stressing that its establishment is long overdue.
I have just assumed responsibility, and sanitation has just been brought on us. Establishment of sanitation authority and a sanitation levy. Sanitation fund will call for a sanitation levy. Well, when you are creating a fund, it means you are instituting a tax. It has to be taken from somewhere to come and establish the fund. And it is long overdue. So it is something when Parliament reconvenes after this adjournment, as a ministry will visit it and it will be done.
According to the USAID, over 6 million Ghanaians currently lack access to safe drinking water, while more than 60% of water sources are contaminated due to pollution from illegal mining. Robert Wamishu, Program Director for Water Sanitation and Hygiene at World Vision Ghana, has called for the effective implementation of policies at the local level to address this crisis.
Policies are very clear in Ghana. We have guidelines very clear, but the dissemination of those guidelines, those policies to the local level, to the MMDA level needs more work. And I think it is one key area that we want to take up.
According to USAID, approximately 60% of Ghana's surface water is polluted nationwide, posing a severe threat to public health and water security. Stakeholders are therefore calling for collaboration and decisive policy implementation to tackle this growing crisis. Stephen Mensa's report, read to you.
Women in small and medium enterprises have identified multiple documentation requests across the African continent as stumbling blocks in the bid to build a resilient African economy. Through InTrade, they have called for the harmonization of the regulatory institutions across the continent to make documentation, certification, and trading easier. The women made this known at the Volta Regional Dialogue Session in Ho, organized by the African Continental Free Trade Area on the Women and Youth Protocol. There's more in this report.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Initiative proposes to create a borderless trading community across Africa, aiming to achieve a $450 billion income by 2035. To facilitate trade for women and youth, the National Coordinating Office of AfCFTA introduced the Women and Youth Protocol, which stipulated the responsibilities of state institutions. It emphasized empowerment, equal opportunity, and economic participation. In the light of this, a nationwide engagement was commissioned on the protocol. Divine Kutoche is the program officer of the National Coordinating Office of AfCFTA.
With the new introduction of the protocol on women and youth, we feel that it was important that we engage the key stakeholders on the ground to understand or hear their issues, hear their proposals, their recommendations, for which we will culminate into a national dialogue.
At the whole engagement, participants echoed the struggles they go through in acquiring the necessary documentation to trade across the continent.
To offices of the registrar of companies, getting my registered company name within a month. No, it's not possible in Ghana. Goodwill, and they're able to get some money and are able to even go through all this channel. Exporting to other countries, and other countries are interested in their product, then we say that they also want it to be registered, go through the same process. I cannot ship products from Ghana straight directly to Sierra Leone or even Morovia. I need to ship it to Europe, and then they rather bring it down. Is there a way AfCFTA or government or even private entity could own something, a ship or Ghana line? They should come back with it to help SMEs.
Mr. Kutoche emphasized that the concerns would be taken into consideration to ensure stress-free and effective borderless trading activities.
If the processes are cumbersome and are not simplified enough for them to be able to go through it easily, then it becomes an issue for them, and that is where the non-compliance issues pop up. So with the regulatory audit, we seek to see how we can identify some of these bottlenecks, amend, and then make proposals for amendments and all of that to our superiors. Yes, so that's what we are essentially doing today.
The Volta Regional Minister, James Gunu, opined that the region should be made a model for AfCFTA, considering its potential.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have our full support, and we expect nothing less than deliberate effort to make the Volta region a model of AfCFTA success in Ghana.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Ho.
After months of being engulfed in darkness, street lights sighted along the Jubilee House, Ghana's seat of government, have finally been fixed. The long-standing blackout left motorists and pedestrians struggling to navigate the poorly lit stretch. Collins Frimpong reports, however, that some key roads, including the Kanda Highway, remain dark. Over a year, many of Accra's streetlights have been darker than they should be, not just in hidden alleys, but on some of the city's most crucial roads. From the stretch in front of Jubilee House, the very heart of Ghana's government, streetlights failed, forcing motorists and pedestrians to navigate in near total darkness. Minority Leader Penyo Markin demanded answers to this situation on the floor of Parliament.
On the road leading to the Jubilee House, we know that the Minister for Greater Accra promised us that our light will be on, the street light will be on. Mr. Speaker, it's not good for the security of the presidency if the entire route leading to the office of the president is so dark, and this is in the heart of the city.
The new Greater Accra Regional Minister took office with the Sorry about that footage, but you're watching the polls. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be back. Please stay. On to a rather sad story. She fought through the agony of breast cancer 2 years ago, hoping for a fresh start. But just as her life seemed normal again, another cruel battle began. 30-year-old midwife Yairama Ibrahim Mahama is now fighting for her life against brain cancer, and she needs 300,000 Ghana cedis for her life-saving treatment. Irama Akwa visited her at home and reports.
She has spent her life caring for others, bringing life into the world. But today, Mariama Yairam Ibrahim, a midwife, fights for her own survival. A battle against a disease that has drained her strength, her finances, and her hope.
Midwifery, I can't tell, but it has just been there for a very long time. So I didn't have any specific reason as a child by then, but when I grew, I realized I just wanted to do it. It's a noble profession. I was actually at work when it came, and at our place we don't have network, so you have to go to a network area to check. So I was actually anxious whilst I was even trying to download it. When it came, when I was able to download and I saw it, I was like, really? So I have to go and recheck, go back to my book that malignant and benign. Benign is the one which is not cancerous. Malignant is that. So I was like, oh, am I the one confused? Because that was not what I was expecting. So I told myself that I have to eat and take good care of myself. If they say this, I shouldn't let it weigh me down. I took food and I started eating. I took the first one. That was when tears started rolling in my face.
That was 2 years ago. A breast cancer diagnosis that would lead her through a maze of chemotherapy, surgery, and endless pain. But just when she thought the worst was behind her,
if I can't raise my arm too, he was thinking it was a nerve-related problem. But because I can't raise the arm on the same side, then it would be brain-related. So I should rather do a head CT scan. So and I told him that this is what has happened, but actually I was supposed to come and do a radiotherapy for the breast. And he said, oh, okay. So what is happening now is that it has spread to my brain. That was when I started crying. The first one, all those times, I didn't cry like that. But for that one, I cried, and he introduced the clinical psychologist to counsel me and all that.
the chemotherapy was brutal. It stole her hair, her strength, her independence. The nausea, the excruciating pain, the darkened nails. She endured it all. But the hardest part was not the physical suffering.
For the breast cancer treatment, we went through a lot. But because it was every 3 weeks, at least by the time the month will end, your salary will come, your family will also support you in a way. Finances, at this point, I don't know what to say. because right now, with this treatment, that's the only problem we have.
£20,000. That's what stands between Mariama and a fighting chance.
My sister is somebody who likes helping others, and she wants to go back to her work. At times when we go to the hospital and she see others wearing the uniform, she will just call me sister. Hey, so I was also like this.
Well, please be kind and generous to Mariama by helping to donate to this cause. Please send Momo number to 0240-333-090 and also GCB bank account 50-310-100-22090. And this report is on all of our social media handles. You can revisit it and hopefully you're touched to help Mariama. That'll be a wrap for The Pulse with me, MFA Akosia Adeti. For more news though, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you for watching.